Hello, welcome to BBC Points West with me, David, in Tewksbury and Alex in the studio in Bristol. Our main story tonight, the West underwater. Storm Dennis continues to cause misery for hundreds as more homes are ruined.
You know, we've seen people being flooded in Yorkshire and Wales, and now it seems it's our turn in Gloucestershire.
Good evening. You join me in a town where there's only one road in and one road out. The rest are flooded. This is Tewksbury in Gloucestershire, which is almost an island tonight. Now, they're used to flooding here because as the town is on a riverside, in fact, it's where the Severn and the Avon join. Sometimes when there's bad weather, the town does flood. In 2007, there was terrible flooding. Lives were lost and hundreds of homes were inundated. Now, they're hoping that it doesn't get as bad this time. We hope that this is as bad as it is going to get because the waters are peaking here tonight, although there will be another one at the weekend, and it is frankly beginning to rain right now. Well, let's just have a look at a map of the West Country if we could. You can see that Gloucestershire has borne the brunt of Storm Dennis. Now, a little later on in the programme, we'll be going to the River Avon and seeing how people are affected between Bristol and Bath. But first, my colleague Steve Nibbs has spent the day in the Forest of Dean. This is his experience of the day there. Steve, I'm glad it's receding where you are. I'm not sure that it is here. I'm right in the centre of Tewksbury. The Abbey is right next to me, and this is a car park. You can see perhaps behind me there's one person didn't move their car before the rains came. Now, in my experience, actually, when we came here, this was quite dry. I think the rivers are still rising. We were told it would peak this afternoon into this evening, and then there'll be a second peak, as I said, at the weekend. So we're not out of the woods yet. Let's just go up the road, shall we, to Chaseley, and my colleague Julia Colston has spent the day there. Well, thank you for that, Julia. Let's meet a couple of guests who've joined me in the centre of Tewksbury. I've got John, Pete and Chris. John is from Severn Rescue Association. Sarah, what's been your experience today? What's it been like?
In Gloucestershire, it's been reasonably okay, to be quite honest. The water's been coming up. We've been tasked to a number of jobs, relatively minor. We're on standby to help evacuate people from Gloucester and Tewksbury if required. What
have you been told to expect? Do you think we're through the worst or not?
I haven't been told to expect anything. I haven't got any information other than we're on standby on stations, ready to go. We've been doing it for the last couple of days elsewhere. We've done some here, and we'll be doing more as required.
You do a great job. Let's move on to Pete. You're from the Borough Council. Is Tewksbury closed or is it Tewksbury open?
Oh, Tewksbury is most definitely open for business. We're used to this. This happens occasionally, and our community is very, very resilient. Yep, we've got a few roads closed, but you can easily get into the town, so please do.
You are stoical.
Our community is very resilient, is what I would say.
Have you got any advice to people living in the area? What should they do?
They need to keep alert, keep up to date with the Environment Agency flood warnings, look at the Highways Agency warnings and the County Council highways. Just make sure you know what's open, what's closed, and if the flood's going to get any worse, be prepared.
And what are you expecting?
I'm expecting, we've seen the peak of the water coming through. It may take a few days to go down, but at the same time, it depends on the weather later in the week. We may have some rain, but we think it's going to last for a little while, but it shouldn't get any worse.
Well, that's reassuring as well. And Chris from the Highways Agency, just the A38 was open when I tried to come in. What's the situation now?
Well, we've actually got all major routes into Tewksbury open, but we do have some closures right in the centre of Tewksbury, which are preventing the through movement of traffic. So the A38 is accessible from the south and from the north, and we can get from the M5 as well to the A38. So it's a case of you just can't move through the town at the moment.
Now, what about people with hospital appointments who need to come here, perhaps lorries who have to deliver and so on?
Well, we're asking residents and businesses to make sure that they plan those journeys, to speak to their suppliers, to make sure that they're not asking somebody to do something that isn't 100% necessary.
Okay, so the message is, I guess, from all of you, is to be safe as possible until this sort of drama unfolds in the next couple of days, and you're on constant standby. That's
indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's very reassuring that you're here, and thank you for everything that you do. I'm sure the whole community is terribly grateful. I'm grateful that you've come out to see us tonight. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Right, let's move on, shall we? And the River Avon, let's change counties and go back to the area between Bristol and Bath. Now, lots of people there live on boats, and believe it or not, that's turning out to be something of a problem as well, as Scott Ellis has been finding out. So again, some good news that the water levels there are dropping. Now, you may remember on Points West last night, we went to Bradford-on-Avon and showed you some pictures of the water there just getting under the bridge at Bradford-on-Avon. This is the scene right now. And Will Glennon has spent the day in the town with volunteers who've been trying to protect the area from any further flooding.